Welcome to this week's Whole Week Costa. I'm Jay here with Kev. We're doing AFI's 100 Greatest Films, the first list. Tonight we're going to be talking about film number 94, Goodfellas, which is about a guy who comes up in the mob and everything is going okay until he gets Ooh, that was weird.
That's never happened before.
Yeah.
Had a little microphone mishap.
Yeah. Until he gets himself in trouble with drugs.
Yeah. So when you were, I think every week that I wish there was a little sound effect, like when you said my name, like I could make a little noise, but I don't know what it would be. So, yeah, movie about the mobster who sells propane and propane accessories.
Oh my God! Don't start with the King of the Hill.
He does.
Stop.
He does
Stop
blow
it.
up a car.
Stop.
Early in the movie, maybe with
Stop.
propane. We don't know.
Stop.
We don't know.
So the movie. So it's their first time watching this movie.
So I really liked it. I actually, I could have been over here a little earlier today, but I was rewatching some of the ending. I took my time eating dinner because it was pretty good. And once I started watching, I wanted to watch through the end again. I think so. My struggle the last 2 weeks has been like some of these movies I don't like. That's like, oh, this is a good movie, but like, what's the cultural significance of this movie? Like fucking Bringing Up Baby, like come on. But this movie, like, I can see the point of this movie. So I was pretty excited about it.
Kev thinks there's a message in every movie, but there's not, because this is just based off a true story. I don't think there's much of a message.
But I mean, if we assume that people's lives have meaning, then this guy's life has a message. I mean, just because I
think the message of the movie is don't rat on your friends.
See, I disagree. But like so if you want to say this is a true story, like that's the whole point of studying history, is so that you learn from the historical narrative of the past and you don't make the same mistakes, or you do better things than were done in the past. So I mean, so if you want to look at this this is not from an artistic perspective, but this guy's life's meaning perspective, I think it has a pretty clear life's meaning. Which before we get into the movie stuff, I think every one of these like fucking loser guys that like, you know, like, so, well, I guess just a preface, like, so we're both varying degrees of middle class. So we know the kind of people I'm about to talk about to some extent.
So we've talked about before on the podcast, before the movie podcast, about how sometimes if you just work hard, you become successful. What Kev's about to talk about are people who
don't work hard.
People don't work hard, and they just try to take like shortcuts.
Yeah.
Every time.
Like, I think every one of these fucking loser guys who barely holds down a job, or doesn't try very hard, never gets ahead in life, and like wants to fuck around and think he's like a fucking tough guy, or like have kids and not pay child support because who cares, or like, you know, like these like low level like drug dealer scum guys, like they should all watch this movie, because those guys, they have watched this movie.
Well, it's like their favorite movie.
What's the thing?
This and Scarface.
That's the thing, and they're missing the point. Like, because the guys I'm talking about, to the guys in this movie, are fucking scum. And really, the guys in this movie that are like cool for part of the movie are fucking scum. Like, that's the point. Like, these guys these guys aren't cool because they were in the mafia.
Joe Pesci killing a guy for no reason.
Yeah, like that's
He's
not
just
cool.
Being an asshole. Joe Pesci's a piece of shit in this movie.
Yeah,
and but like the whole tone of the movie like changes once he gets killed. Spoiler: Joe Pesci gets killed. So it's like the movie basically follows Henry Hill, and then he meets Jimmy. I can't think of his last name. We should probably write these names down.
Yeah.
And then Joe Pesci's character, and like the first 3/4 of the movie is them like pulling jobs and pulling scams and fight with girlfriends, and then Joe Pesci kills a made man. So the rest of the movie is them dealing with the killing of this made man
from the Gambino crew.
And then so they deal with that, and then Joe Pesci, they say they're going to open the books and make him a made man, but they actually double cross him and they shoot him in the back of the head. And so that time, and when they all get busted for just being stupid idiots because they were trying to like scam on a guy whose sister was in like part of the FBI, like just as a typist. Like,
True story.
yeah,
Too.
they all get like 4 to 10 years in jail. So in jail, Henry Hill starts selling drugs. Then once he gets out of jail, he starts doing it. He starts buying drugs from guys in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And this movie takes place in New York and North Jersey. And so the crime boss is like, hey, I know you were selling drugs in jail, but you're not, no drugs outside of jail.
It was like a hard rule. Like,
it's a hard
mafia
rule.
Doesn't sell drugs.
Yeah, I think it's still like today, like it's a hard rule. Like,
which makes
no
sense
drugs.
because then you bring down like the FBI and like.
I mean, they do
Yeah.
sell drugs now, like a lot of them busted, but it's mostly like racketeering,
Yeah.
cards, women, stealing, cash, pretty much, but like murder, but no drugs.
Just murder.
Yeah, it's
Fine.
just slowly murder.
Just a little murder.
So like Henry Hill gets caught up in drugs with Jimmy,
Mm.
and then like once Joe Pesci's character gets killed, Jimmy like starts turning himself around, like no drugs, like he gets out of drugs, but Henry Hill stays in the drugs. And then when Henry Hill gets caught for the drugs and everything, to like get into witness protection, he just rats on the whole family.
Yeah. I do agree with your synopsis, though, that I feel like the drugs were really prevalent, and that is part of the story. But I think it sounds like from just what I've listened to history-wise of it, that like the Lufthansa heist was like a really big part of like where the story turns, and they had that in this movie, and they had the aftermath. They had like the Lufthansa killings, but
Yeah, because so no one like talked about it. They killed everyone.
yeah, because apparently what happened was they had this big airport score planned, but they thought they were going to get like $1 million, and then they got like $6 million, and it was like too much money.
It's the biggest robbery. I think it was the biggest robbery in U.S. history or something like that up to that point.
Yeah. So because of how big it was, there was all this press and all this attention on them, and like all the crooked cops in the city wanted their cut. So like they had to pay all this money, and then then people got greedy that were part of the deal because they wanted more of their money, and then that's when the killings started, and then the fear was somebody's going to rat somebody else out, so more killings.
And part of this story is the news actually said it was more money than it was.
Okay.
Because they like the police would know that would start like leading them. So it's like they steal 6 million. The news is saying, oh, they stole 10 million. So like everyone's like, well, we stole 10 million. Like I know about this. Like I want more.
Yeah.
And like they figured it would like pour people down the drain to like start like ratting people out. Like, oh, I didn't get my money, and here's who did the thing. So they started killing people that would know it. Did you notice that the getaway driver who fell asleep was Samuel L. Jackson?
Oh, I did not.
Stacks.
Oh, I did
Samuel
not.
L. Jackson.
You did say he was in this movie.
He's like the only black guy in the entire movie.
Yeah.
The getaway driver.
But that's apparently part of how they got caught, was that he was supposed to ditch the car, but instead he drove to his girlfriend's house and got high and fell asleep.
Yeah.
And then
they shot him in the back of the head. Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, but that's and that apparently is part of maybe why Tommy was killed, is he was one of the last links in the Lufthansa heist.
No, Tommy was killed because he killed a made man.
No. Well, that part of it, but part of the theory is that like in real life, part of why he was killed is because that happened, and then there was something with him and like Paul's wife. So the theory, is that Paul went to the Gambino family and said, "Hey, like this guy killed your guy. This is all the stuff he did. Like, whatever you guys want to do is fine." So
yeah. Well, the guy, he was a piece of shit in real life too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they're all pieces of shit.
Yeah, but that's what's really jarring. So like Henry Hill, like Jimmy, like Paul, like our other main characters, like live by a certain set of rules. Which like what's so good about this movie is they sort of describe their indoctrination, and they sort of indoctrinate you at the same time. Like that's part of why Henry Hill's wife Karen is so good, because she she is like sort of the outsider perspective. So she's like our everyman outsider perspective into the life because Henry Hill's in the life from the beginning. So we don't get him as a good outsider perspective, but she is the outsider perspective, and she plainly explains, like says it, like, oh yeah, we started doing everything together, and I was only with the other wives, and then we would do all family stuff together, and then from being with them all the time, the life became normal.
Right. Their makeup was bad. They wore double knits. She just like didn't like it. But like, the part of the movie I don't like. Yeah. It's not even that big of a gripe. It's her narration and her character, like her screaming all the time. Like she's a very annoying character.
I think her narration is very important because her narration is our perspective.
Well, like I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm not saying it's a different, and I guess they do it on purpose. It's a different mood of the movie. Like you're in this like gangster movie, then you have a perspective from like someone who's not a gangster.
Yeah.
And like, but her voice is kind of like,
her voice is annoying.
Yeah. So it's like, and then the screaming is like, it's really slows down the movie.
It is a little jarring when she first starts to narrate. I didn't know what was going on at first. But no, I think because she shows us the lifestyle. It's not just the action, it's the day-to-day lifestyle stuff. So she helps us normalize it so that by that point in the movie, when they're all on top, and then you see her perspective as a mob wife, like you kind of feel watching the movie like, oh yeah, this is fine. Like these guys are fine. They're just stealing stuff a little bit. Like it's fine. Like they're just essentially pirates. Like knocking off all the cargo trucks coming out of the airport.
Yeah, and they're super charismatic.
Yeah,
like Jimmy's super charismatic. Tommy's an asshole. Yeah, and then like Henry Hill's like he's kind of charismatic. Like not Jimmy charismatic, but he's pretty good. And I like I do like the whole thing how they fit together. But something you've probably never seen. Tony Soprano's therapist is the same actress.
I read that though. I didn't know. I didn't see The Sopranos.
Well, I was watching Sopranos one time. I was like, she looks familiar, and I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's the same. She just aged a little more. She looks like way better with like normalized hair, not the 60s, 70s hair that she had. It looked terrible.
So I think Tommy is another really important character. Because even though he's an asshole, like you kind of want to like him. Like I feel like if you were in that, like if you were one of the other guys, like you would want Tommy to like you because he's like an asshole, but he's like kind of like the tough guy, and like I feel like a lot of people want to try to impress Tommy because he is so like off the handle and crazy. But I feel like his character is really good because he gives you the first hints that like there's cracks. Like if Tommy weren't there and it was just all the other guys and we just went into the drug stuff, then it was just like, oh, well, the life's fine. Just Henry Hill's an issue. Like he just got weak and started selling drugs and shit. But it's not. So like Tommy shows us that the whole lifestyle is flawed, despite what all the other flashy stuff that looks positive shows us. Yeah.
I mean, like the third character, Jimmy, he's the complete opposite. Like, I would love to live that life. Yeah. But they do explain, and they do show him, like, be a tough guy and, like, kill people. But, like, they're like, oh, he's a hitter. Yeah. Like, he kills people. That's why he's rich. Yeah. You're like, oh, he's a really bad guy, but you really like him. Yeah. He's the worst of all of them.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know. But, yeah, it's part of what makes the movie so good is, I mean, all the characters have a clear purpose in the story. Just narratively, like it's like there's no wasted characters, which is awesome.
Even like Paul's a great character. Yeah. Like they slowly explain like the kind of guy he is. He only talks to one person. Yeah. And that person talks to the other people. Yeah. And like he's a very segmented guy. He doesn't have a phone in his house. Like like he is a very good mobster. Like he's a good businessman.
So, I mean, it tells you how good these characters are that we remember their names. Because how many weeks have we struggled to remember people's names?
Yeah. Well, I forgot Joe Pesci's name for a minute.
And for a minute, but we got it.
The best character in the movie, Tommy's mom.
Yeah.
The old Italian lady. She shows up in like 5 or 6 scenes,
Yeah.
and like she's just like very like, I think she's just ignorant. Like she plays ignorant, but she
Yeah.
knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, oh, I need a butcher knife. Why? I hit a deer.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame. Like
Yeah.
she knows what's going on.
I saw like part of an interview with like real Henry Hill about like that where they like are moving that guy in the car and then he's like still alive and stuff, and he said it was just, like it was like one of the most terrible things he's ever like seen. Like,
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, like it's great because that's how the movie starts too, right?
Yeah, they're driving
Yeah.
upstate New York. And the crazy thing about this movie is you're like, well, it's a dramatization of like what happened. Like this can't be real.
Yeah.
But like other people
It's
are
not that
like,
dramatized.
yeah, other people are like, yeah, it's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
Like they read his book and they're like, yeah, it actually was more violent. You know, it's
Yeah.
like it was worse than that. You know?
Even like the jail stuff, like the having good times in jail. Like apparently that's all pretty true too.
Yeah. So, side note on Henry Hill. So when he went into his witness protection, like the thing about him, like, oh, I can't even get a good thing of meatball. Like he opened like a restaurant or worked at a restaurant just to do it. Then he started pulling rackets on like restaurants and everything. Like he started his gangster shit back up, and the FBI like had to move him like I think 6 times.
Yeah,
or something like that.
he couldn't get away from the life of crime.
Yeah, so they had to move him like 6 times, and eventually they're like, "All right, if you want to be out, you're out." He's like, "I'm out," and but at that time, like his thing was taken off, like his death sentence or whatever.
Karen had to change her name to Peggy.
Yeah,
Peggy Hill.
I hate you.
But no. So apparently though, real Tommy apparently, or not real Tommy, real Henry Hill tried to get out of the life. After that arrest when he's like 16, he joined the army. But then he was like doing illegal shit in the army and they kicked him out and then he went back to the mob. So he just like couldn't. But apparently he had a lot of learning disabilities. And like at that time, like people didn't really know about that. So people just thought he was stupid. So like makes sense that he didn't really want to go to school. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Because there's no support for that like at that point.
And his dad wasn't going to support him.
Yeah.
You know, they explain like, you know, his dad's like not a good guy.
So like his early motivations make a lot of sense. Like apparently he was like sitting in their apartment and like he'd see all like he was like across the street from that cab stand where like he ended up like they show in the movie. So he would see all the rich mobsters drive up and he's like, I want to do that. Like, I mean, it's not for like kid essentially. I mean, that's not crazy to like fall into that life. Like they show it really clearly how it happened.
Have you ever heard of John Gotti? I think it's John Gotti.
Yeah.
Right? John Gotti, yeah. The Teflon Don.
Yeah.
He has a son, John Gotti Jr., who actually took over the mob. I think it's the Gambinos.
I think so.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he took over after his dad, or like after another guy or whatever. But like his dad sent him to military school.
Interesting.
And he's like, get out of this life. Like you don't want to be part of this life. I'm sending you to military school. But then like something happened. Like his dad picked him up, and they're like, oh, you're John Gotti's son, and he was like, yeah, my name's John Gotti Jr.
Yeah.
You know, and so they sent him to military school, and then like he would do like the son like at like 14, 15 would like do gangster shit and like kicked him out of military school. Like he
similar
didn't do,
Henry Hill.
It's just like these guys like they get caught in the life and like it's once a criminal, always a criminal.
Yeah. I was thinking too about the opening scene with the guy in the trunk, with Billy Batts or whatever in the trunk. That's done so well too, because by the time it happens again, I had totally forgotten about it.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like such a shock, and it's like, oh, that's what happened, because it's a really great dramatic attention getting way to open the movie, but then like they just pull you so into the life watching the movie that like you don't expect it to happen again. Like I think it wasn't until they actually pulled the car over that I realized like that we were back at that scene again. So that's done really well.
Yeah, they beat him. That's Henry Hill's bar.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah, it was his bar in real life that it happened at, and apparently it wasn't all the same night. Apparently that him making fun of Tommy happened, but then it was like a few weeks later they sort of planned to like do that to him.
Yeah, they probably had to move it up for movie, but like you can't be out in the open.
Yeah.
And then like kill the guy the same night. Like they would definitely know it's you.
Yeah, they and apparently there's a little more to it. Apparently when Billy Batts was in jail, Tommy took over some of his like whatever business he did, and then he didn't want to just hand it back over to him just because he got out of jail. So there was a little more than just the making fun of him.
Yeah.
Event.
None of these guys are good guys.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, but like when you're watching it, like that scene, or like the scene where Tommy just like shoots that like bartender guy, like you're mad at him for everybody else because you're like, oh, like you're gonna get everybody in trouble. Like what the hell are you doing? Like,
you know who he's to an extreme. You know who he's kind of like from previous movies you watched.
Who's that?
Not Jules, but the other guy from Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah.
Not Jules.
Yeah.
John Travolta's character.
Yeah, the white guy.
Yeah, white guy.
Yeah.
Vince.
Yeah.
Vincent Vega. Yeah, so it's like he's just very like ungrateful and kind of like a jerk off. Like he's like there's no redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
So
do you ever go off on a YouTube tangent for like a minute? So it just relates to my initial point about what I think this movie's about, that these guys that are just like criminals or losers, and I wish like all these fucking like guys that have no direction in life that think they're cool would watch this movie.
Okay, real quick before you go on the tangent, there's a movie which I'm pretty sure you also didn't see. It starts Robert De Niro. Actually, I'm going to look it up when I go into it. And Chaz Palminteri. Hold on. Let's see. Robert De Niro. Chaz.
This is the Googling section of our podcast.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it's called A Bronx Tale in 93. Okay. De Niro's actually just a bus driver. Okay. And it's about his son, De Niro's son. He's an Italian. They live in like a mob part of New York, and the son likes a black girl, and like that's a no go.
Okay, yeah.
And so like he's hanging out. It's the same like Henry Hill like beginning. You know, he's hanging out with the guys. He's doing small jobs and everything. And he gets paid. The kid gets paid, and De Niro's like walks him back over, and he throws the money in the guy's face, Chaz Palminteri, and he's like, what do you think? You're a tough guy? He's like, you think you're a tough guy? He's like, try showing up to work and working every day. That's a tough guy.
There you go. I think that's part of the point of this movie.
Which is like he kind of gets in the life, and then there's like a Tommy type character that's like he hangs out with, like he's like a real bad guy, and he like lights. It's a real like there's like a tragedy where they accidentally like light I think a couple black couples on fire in a car accident or something.
All right. So if you're watching us and you're one of these fucking loser guys, I mean, still watch us, even though I called you that. But watch this movie. Watch A Bronx Tale, apparently, because similar message.
Very good movie, yeah.
And then watch a YouTube channel called Corridor Crew. So Corridor is a VFX studio. And Corridor Crews, basically they're like behind the scenes of like the guys that work at this VFX studio. And I came across them because they recently in the last couple months started doing this VFX artist reacts thing. And it's like really cool. They go through good and bad CGI in different movies and like explain like why it's good or why it's bad and like how it was made and stuff. I think it's pretty cool.
Have they done Terminator 2? Because it's like the best CGI ever.
I don't think so.
Dude, Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Great CGI.
They have done Jurassic Park, but they've only done like a few episodes so far. Yeah. It's a lot of movies. They did just react to the Catch trailer, which I was super excited about because I'm obsessed with this. It looks
terrible.
It's horrifying. But anyway, what I find so fascinating about them, why I think if any of you guys are listening, you should watch it, is they're sort of like side story stuff. So they just started recently doing this, but before this it was like them at work or like side little stuff at work. But a lot of it is like they're just like curious guys. Like there's a reason why they've gotten as far as they have in life, because a lot of the episodes will be like, oh, I was curious about this thing, so I spent my whole off day like working on it, or like oh, I want to rebuild this piece of machinery. I'm not really a machinist, but like I'm going to work through how to do it.
I do that.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. like that, like spending like spending your free time doing productive things, improving yourself is like something that most people don't do. And like that's part of why these guys have a successful YouTube channel and are successful VFX artists, I think, is because they all have the same personality of like just being curious about the world and like wanting to do like productive things in life and like wanting to better themselves versus fucking Henry Hill, who just wants to be a mobster, or fucking Tommy, who just wants to be a fucking mobster.
Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, when I get bored, instead of going out, well, it kind of costs money, but instead of going out, cost of money, like get in trouble, then like being mad, like, oh, I don't have any money or doing something, I just work on my truck.
Yeah.
I can clean my truck, or I work on my MBA. Like, it's just very, like, it's very calming. Like, and I really don't leave my block. Like, I hang out with my friends, but I really, like I could go out late at night and get in trouble, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'll lose my truck.
That's what we did in our 20s. So.
Yeah, but there's people that like still
that never grow up.
Yeah, they never grow up. Like they like my brother has a friend. He's like 34, 35, and like he's like, "Oh, I'm going scumbagging tonight." And he's like just goes partying.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Why, dude?" It's like we're not here for not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Like, that's his thing. It's like, yeah, but what if you do make it to 70 and you have no retirement? So you're working until you're 72.
Yeah. That's exactly the kind of guy I've been talking to this whole episode. So I think this movie has a good message. It's like, I can see why it's a culturally significant movie. I think it, based on what we've seen already, it probably should be higher on this movie list. So I'm curious what's in front of it. If there's more Goodfellas, or there's more of bringing up fucking babies.
Well, have you seen Scarface?
No.
All right, so Scarface. And by the way, there's going to be a sequel and a prequel that brings... I don't know how they're going to work that in. The original Scarface and the remake of Scarface. I don't know. But anyway, they're bringing them together. It's probably going to be a piece of shit. But... Scarface is like sort of the same thing. It's like this guy who immigrates from Cuba. Yeah. Like I forget what it's called, but when Castro let all the prisoners and like crazy people out and everything, he let loose the prisons and shit and sent them all to America, like in the 70s.
Smart.
So essentially, like
we should do that to Canada.
Yeah. So essentially, the Scarface is about an immigrant. But you've never seen this, so anybody who listens, like, you've never seen Scarface. So it's about an immigrant who comes over, and he's, like, obviously a criminal. He's a hitman.
Spoilers for Scarface.
Yeah, he's a hitman.
Wait, is Scarface on the list? You're about to spoil it for me?
No, Scarface is not on the list.
Okay.
It should be, except there's, like, a big, long, weird thing where he falls in love with his own sister. But it's about a guy, like, he goes to drug dealers, and, like, he just mouths off to, like, important people, like, well, mobsters and everything, and, like, he gets everyone killed, and then eventually, like, he becomes powerful and like has a mansion and like all these machine guns and a tiger, and then like he just forgets to pay a guy and they come out and like kill him and all his crew. Like people are like, I would love to live like Scarface, except I forgot to pay someone and now he's all dead. Like it's not like a life I want. Like I would love to have a mansion, but like from working hard, not like killing people and selling drugs. Like I want people to be like, oh man, he used to live in his car on Edmond Street in Philadelphia, and now he's a millionaire. You know, like I would like, well, how'd he do it? I would like to be a good model. Like, well, he went to college for 10 years, got his MBA, worked his way up, became a CEO, now he's a millionaire. Yeah. Like, I would like to be like that kind of success story. Not like, oh, I killed a bunch of people and the cops are after me. Like, I don't want to look over my shoulder my entire life. I'd rather just be poor like I am now and not ever look over my shoulder. Yeah.
So as far as looking over your shoulder though, so I feel like, and this is not a movie theme, but just a life theme. You know, what's the difference between these mobsters and everyday people? As far as I feel like everyone has shit that they shouldn't do in life. Like everyone does stuff they shouldn't do, and like everyone has to look over their shoulder a little bit, I think, you know. So is there any moral equivalence between these people who kill people and rob people and stuff versus the person who cheats, or like the person who like watches too much porn all the time and like has to hide that, or the person that like drinks, like, you know, when they're like supposed to not drink because they have a problem, like this is. I just had this thought, so I don't really have much follow up for it.
Well,
But
mainly because those people are just hurting themselves.
not true, and their families, and maybe their kids, maybe their significant others,
Yeah,
maybe their extended families,
Okay.
maybe the people they work with.
right. I get you, but it's a micro thing.
Yeah.
Where like, if you cheat,
Hmm.
you kind of take what 3 years, 4 years to get back on your feet.
Takes about 3 to 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like you hurt. Well, if you cheat, you hurt people in the long run.
Yeah.
Or if I watch too much porn, I might hurt my significant other. Like I won't be interested in having sex with them.
Yeah.
Because like I'm like just thinking about porn. Or if I do drugs, like I mean drugs are pretty bad too. But
Yeah.
like I hurt my family. But it doesn't affect you across the bridge. It doesn't affect my neighbor. Well, I mean
Yeah.
the drug addicts across the street kind of affect
Well,
all of us because they have
Well, the
Dogs?
Lufthansa heist doesn't affect me.
right.
So.
But it affect it's I think it's the radius of amount of people that it affects. Like
So it's like a really utilitarian.
if
thing,
I'm
like,
smoking weed out back, that
you're just making the squirrels high.
yeah. So
That's it.
hold on. If I'm shooting coke out back because weed's starting to get to the point where like
Yeah, weed's-
no one really
yeah.
cares about it. I'm shooting coke out back and I walk into my house. Like, and Rachel comes home and she's like, "Hey, man, no, it's shooting heroin, sniffing coke." As you can tell, I never do drugs. All right, I'm sniffing coke.
She's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing, man?"
Yeah.
'Cause that's how she talks. She's
Yeah.
like, "Man,
Yeah,
like,
as
bro.
you can tell, I don't do drugs. But, you know, like I'm snorting coke. And, like Rachel's like, "Hey, man, stop doing drugs. It affects our relationship." And then she goes and tells her parents. And then they're like, "Well, dump them." Like that affected me, her. And then like within like 6 months, she'll just find someone new. It'd be great.
affects
Unless,
the
like,
podcast studio."
it affects the podcast studio, but we'll just get to a bigger, better podcast studio.
Yeah.
But if someone's in my backyard and they shot me dead,
Yeah,
that affects like the whole neighborhood.
yeah,
Like, oh, now we got to kill her. Rachel's sad. Her parents are sad. You're
it
sad.
takes Rachel at least 6 months to move on.
Yeah, no, 12 months. My brother's sad. My mom's sad. There's no more Whole Wheat Costa. It has to be Whole Wheat Kirk.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would still keep the name.
Yeah, but you'd have to find a new podcast partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be Sam. But look at the people. The police now have work to do. Now we're out for a murder, and then if depending on the kind of person that murdered me, like it affects people. Like, whoa, we had no idea. You know what I mean? That's more of a macro problem.
Yeah,
That's what makes these people bad.
Yeah.
Now, Lufthansa heist, that was just cash that they spent overseas that they were bringing back. I couldn't answer who that would affect.
Yeah.
But like Henry Hill, like he's affecting like the small business people because they have to pay. And if they don't pay, they have to like sell. And now they're out of business. So they're affecting their entire families. And then later on, he starts selling drugs. And drugs, like if you just do any bit of research, you can see how drugs can hurt a community.
yeah,
So it brings the whole community into poverty. Now you're paying taxes for social services for people that are addicted to drugs because of this person. So your taxes go up, and now your taxes are up, so you can't afford your house, so you have to start renting,
yeah.
right?
True.
So
that's
so it's a macro thing. Whereas like if I'm just smoking weed out back, it's a micro thing. It affects my relationship. And then 6 months after she breaks up with me, she's just in a better relationship or a worse one. I don't know.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Hard to say.
That's probably what the difference between that is.
yeah. So I feel like if someone shot you dead, I would still play your clip in the beginning where you say, "Welcome to this week's Whole Wheat Costa," and then I would just do the rest of it myself.
Oh, okay. That's
So-
good. Yeah, but I don't want to die. Like I don't want to get shot dead.
I guess I could get Carmen. I mean, I don't know if we would gel as well. I mean, it would take a little time. I don't know if I can bring him in just mid movie podcast. Like I probably would have to like finish out the list myself. So in like 2 years I could bring him in. That's probably what would have to happen.
Yeah. I mean, you have to bring someone in that likes movies.
Yeah.
So they could be like, "You didn't see that movie?"
Yeah, true. Yeah, it wouldn't work if it was just like two people that never saw the movie. Maybe I'll bond with Dave again over your death, and then we'll